right, let me know how the audio is, everybody. You know the deal. If the audio is okay, that's my fault. If the audio is bad, it's your fault. We're gonna go in a few seconds here. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you shoot. Let me know what you shoot with. And let me know if you're new here, because we just got an influx of a whole lot of subscribers. So I'm gonna go and cut this off. And I'm gonna go and snap this into play, ba-bing. All right, let me know who's in this chat. I know I'm like smashing, grabbing it today. I'm just going for it. I totally get it. What's going on, everyone? My name is Seth Miranda. If you follow Adorama at all, you probably have seen me all over the place. This is a weekly live stream that we do. So the whole thing about this is you ask whatever you need to know, having trouble with something in between that just isn't making sense, and I do the best I can to have it make sense for you, okay? Before we get going into any questions that I even have, because I usually post a sticker on my Instagram, and then I see what questions I kind of gather by a net. But obviously, if you're in the chat, just hit a question, just hit a capital Q and your question so I can see it. What's going on, Sean Vine? How are you? Connecticut? Are you ever gonna come through to NYC? Are you ever gonna come hang out at 42 West 18th Street for a class? There's a great class tomorrow. We're gonna see. It's a new speaker, but I got a lot of faith in this kid. What's going on, EJ? Rick, how are you? Brian, what's going on? All right. Stefan, how are you? I must be on quite a delay today because I feel like this is a slow burn. Yes, we all must say hello to Quinn. Quinn gracing us with her presence today. She's not feeling too great, but you know, she's gonna tough it out for us. And I'm in a little bit of rough shape. I feel like you ever feel like you just dodged getting sick, but somehow you still got punched in the face? That's kind of where I'm at. I'm a little foggy, but you know, what else is new? It's a Monday and we're doing this. Have we ever gone to watch a portrait session of a non-model? So what do you mean of a non-model? Are you saying that the classes we have here, when we shoot, we have a model and you're just looking for us to pull people out of the crowd that might not be comfortable being in front of people, that might not even want to be photographed, that might not want to be on a live stream on the internet for the rest of their lives? Like, it's not just a model, it's someone that we're working with, okay? And I think a lot of people bring up this because they think there's some trick to, they already look good, so it'll look good. You can light the most beautiful people horribly, all right? I'm sorry, but it just is. The goal with the classes here is the principles, why we went a certain way, the decisions we made, why we made those decisions, how we execute the technique after we made a decision about the technique. So we've had streams where we have volunteers, but I can't book an event, invite people to come, and then go, I hope somebody wants to get photographed. That's not gonna fly. So we work with a model. And hopefully you guys are trying to work with models as well, because just like people want to be photographed by someone who's experienced and working to get better as a photographer, you should want to work with people that are trying to become better at modeling or a talent or something like that. You know, I understand that you shoot corporate headshots or you shoot people like a dentist that might not want to get photographed, but that's like their one shot a year that they need. And I totally understand that. But when we're doing classes and demos and stuff, it's a whole nother animal. I can't roll dice and hope that somebody off the street will just come hang out. It's just not gonna happen that way. You can watch a lot of Daniel's live streams, and we've had people come out of the crowd. In fact, I'll tell you what, the last time we did the analog day on here where we built the darkroom, Daniel did that. Dan pulled out, had people photograph each other. He starts off with a model though. So let's go to Adorama. And in fact, it even got to a point where there were salespeople that decided, like, we got these two young kids here that are really ambitious, and they were like, hey, we want to take a shot at this. So they photographed each other live right here. Let me see if I can find it really quick. There it is, boom. So this is Erica starting out the live stream, but by the time we get to the middle of it, we've got just, people out of the crowd that are just, we got people out of the crowd that are photographing each other. Boom. You know, these aren't people or models that we hired or whatever. Where is you know, they photographed each other. So it's not like we're playing some like smoke and mirrors here or bringing in a ringer, but we're producing a class for you guys. And at that point, we don't want to leave too many things up for chance, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting proper information and a class or a live stream that's worth your time. We want to make sure that we're not going to have someone that comes up here and goes, I didn't really want to do this, and they get off, or they have a problem with it being on live stream. We have to pull that live stream down forever because they decided they're not comfortable being on a live stream on a channel that they didn't really know they were signing up for, right? So we do pull people out of the crowd. That is totally a thing that happens. It's just not a goal of ours, okay? So, and I totally understand it. When people say like non-models, I don't think you guys realize that there is a way to shoot portraits where you just make people look the best version of themselves that's genuinely themselves. In fact, I don't know if any of you are local, but the last demo we did before I rebuilt the event space, I photographed my own mother. That was a demo that happened here. I photographed her with a Fujifilm GFX 102. She came here, she was awkward as hell, and that's my mom, but she did it, and you know, I lit my mom, lit my mom and photographed my mom. Did you need me?
We only have the Aries.
Of course.
Compatible, but
okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks, man. All right. So before I get going into like actually shooting or whatever, I just want to go over some upcoming events actually. So we got a new speaker. I'm really hoping this kid is just crushes it. All right. I've got a lot of faith in him. So Justin Bakari is going to be doing color control in camera, creative gel techniques. So a lot of people think you just tape a gel to a light and go, yay. But there's a lot of thought and theory and color theory, honestly, and ways to optimize the color you're getting out of that gel, the way to make gels work together, the way to get better saturation, the way to worry about light transmission, all sorts of stuff. Hey, what's going on, Eric? How are you? So there is a whole nother level to gels, and I believe that's what Justin's going to be bringing to you. On Wednesday, I'm bringing in my buddy Steve Irby here on Street Dreams, which is basically a collective of photographers that put out magazines and stuff. Very, very cool stuff. He's a creative director and he's a co-founder of the magazine, and he's just a really great photographer. Did some really amazing black and white work here in the city, covering some major events that happened here. And then Daniel is back on the 23rd. He's going to be doing, I think, hard light, right? Why and when we use hard light. So that is something I think a lot of people are scared to even venture near. He's going to show you guys what hard light really is and how to actually use it and when to apply it. So, and Dan is one of the best hard light guys I know. I think he does. Him and Ab are like my two hard light guys. I think they're probably pretty solid. So don't forget that's on Thursday the 23rd. And then I got Jennifer Stitt coming in on November 5th. Okay, because don't forget a chunk of October, Adorama's closed. So if you guys need to get anything, order it now. If you're trying to go to events, go to them now, because there's going to be like 2 weeks where you're just not going to be getting anything from here. Okay, I think it's October 7th through the 12th or something. Something longer than that. I don't know. I just know Comic-Con's in the middle of it. Anyway, Jennifer Stitt's going to be here, and she does really, really good couple portrait photography. So I guess like engagements and stuff like that. So if this is an area that you're looking to get into, make sure you check this out. We had her do a demo inside the Adorama booth at, I think, WPPI and imaging actually, and she was awesome. She crushed it. So totally psyched that she's coming through, and she's just very cool people. And I will say she's one of these people that when I'm doing demos at a trade show, she doesn't even hesitate. She jumps in and is like, what do you need me to hold? Do you need help with this? Can I pack this up for you? Like, she just helps other photographers. So this floor is welcome to people like that for sure. Okay, so make sure you check out the events. I'll put the link to the events page in there. What's going on, Vic? How are you? Okay, so I'm going to check the question sticker, but if you guys have any questions, hit a capital Q, write the question. I'll do my best to answer it as always. Let me see what got siphoned into my IG sticker. That's not a question. So Ramla, who is a prominent person in the photo community here in New York, she's asking best tips for saving up and investing in equipment. Well, one, make sure you're investing in the right equipment that's right for you, that you are sure you'll see a return on. So if you're someone that goes, hey, my clients are looking for this, am I able to produce this? And then instead of going the lowest cost route, look at what is the most reliable route as far as the equipment. And that's why I always say things like C-stands, right? Like your grip, stuff like this. When you invest into something like this is for your whole career, right? You will also need to think about what you can get back as far as value-wise. So let's say you are looking at some new lenses. Well, a higher end lens might cost you a lot, but if you ever said to yourself, I'm not using it that much and I made my money on it, you will get more return on investment when you go to trade it in to get a lens you would use more often. Also, check on your options. Sometimes you might not have to invest and you can get away with renting for a few jobs and go, I'm good. I don't need to invest in buying this piece of equipment because I'm not really doing much of this work. I just need it for this moment. Or what I would also recommend is if you are serious and you're trying to make this a full-time thing, rent the gear before you buy it to make sure it's a good fit, to make sure you like it, to make sure it's doing what the thing you want it to do, and you find that it is worth the investment. Oh, sick shirt. Yeah, thanks. Quick shout out to Mike over at Shoot Film Co. This is not sponsored, but I saw this shirt and I was like, has a shirt ever spoken to me more than an anatomical heart? I mean, come on, guys. This is my logo. Well, not that logo. This logo. I had to get the shirt. So, and it's owned by a photographer, and it's just one guy. So it's supporting, and you know I'm down with supporting community, right? Are you doing a video about Comic-Con again? Yes, that's the goal. I am still struggling with my ankle. It's getting better by the day, but Comic-Con is approaching quick. So the goal is to cover photographer setups on my channel, my personal channel. That's what this handle is on everything. But this is my third year covering it, and Comic-Con gave me a content creator pass. So that's awesome. And there's actually a lounge for content creators, so I can finally charge batteries or get on the internet or do something I got to do, like a press lounge. So that's super cool. And I just want to say thanks to Reed Pop and Comic-Con for throwing me that. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can get to a place where there's actually a photographer's badge, not media, not press, not content, but you could actually apply to get a designated spot as a photographer to shoot cosplayers, where you might get security, outlets to charge or plug in, you know, a place to actually like settle into instead of like randomly in the middle of a lobby, you know. So that's my goal. We'll see if that ever happens, but you can't get to those goals without starting that kind of conversation, right? Back to Ramos' question, don't forget, when you rent gear, you can also apply that rental towards the purchase of the gear. So it's like a try to buy type program. Don't forget that, right? So if you are not sure about something, but you think you need something or it would elevate your career, your client base, your whatever, look into renting the gear first, okay? But saving the money, I think a lot of people go, I'm gonna go pro. I gotta drop cash and invest. And to a certain extent, yes, but if you don't absolutely need it, do what you can with what you got till what you got can't do what you need. Does that make sense? All right. So make sure that you go, you know what I need? A really shallow looking lens. Well, do you need a $3,000 lens, or will a $600 lens that's a 1.8 do the job for you? Because look, this is, oh, wrong camera. This is a 1.8 lens that's a few $100. Let me get some stuff out of the way. And look, I can get that shallow look, and I'm not spending $3,000 on this lens. Maybe go this route before you decide, hey, I absolutely need the look of a $3,000 lens. You know, like, make the decisions based on what you're really going to get out of it, not, oh, it's more expensive, it must be pro. Okay? You know, and a lot of times you have to realize that the reason gear is professional, or like quote unquote considered professional grade, is because it's serviceable. So for example, when you have professional power packs that are tens of thousands of dollars for strobe, if something happens, you're not throwing that thing out. You're taking it and getting it serviced, and you're back in business, right? Or higher end brands might actually give you a loaner of whatever you need to keep you going while they're servicing your gear. So there's reasons for certain price points, and when you invest in gear, you get what you pay for sure. But just make sure that if you're saying to me, hey, I'm a few years deep, I'm doing headshots, they all keep asking me that they all keep telling me they want this specific shallow look. look at what that $3,000 lens is, and will you make your money back on the amount of headshots you're gonna do? Or will the $700 1.8 version of that lens be shallow enough, you'll get your return on the money, and your client won't realize that you didn't spend $3,000, but they got the look that they came to you for. And in the end, as a pro, that's the thing. We always deliver. If they came to me with this, they want this from me as a service, how can I deliver that? And sometimes you just gotta really, I don't wanna say make consolations or whatever, but like, you don't always have to go all in if you don't think you're gonna get it all back out. Does that make sense to you guys? So Rumble, I hope that sort of answers. It's a tough one, right? You go on, there's so many classes about how to run businesses. In fact, on this channel, there's a compilation video of Vanessa Joy and Joe Sinnott talking about how to make money as a photographer. And they go over some gear investment, I'm sure, as well. So make sure you check that out. Senora Vicky is asking, hey Seth, what are your thoughts on using flash on sunny days? I've seen videos of photographers use it even when sunny outside, dipping my toes into portraits, and was curious about this. So in reality, when you guys are shooting in a very well-lit place, and by the way, before I go into this question, I just want you to know, I got this with me today. Speaking of expensive lenses, Sigma has loaned me their 200mm f2, and I'm going to adapt it to a Nikon. So at some point during the stream, let's shoot with this ridiculously cool lens. It's beautiful. Spoiler, I'm psyched. We'll get into some shooting, I promise. But let me answer this. So when it's sunny out, right, you're at the mercy of the angle of that sun. So what you're mostly going to see when people try to clean up the look of that sun, they're either going to put in reflectors or diffusers, meaning the key light is the sun. How can I modify the sun to get a more pleasing look or a different look or shape it for my subject? So for example, high noon sun, it's bright out, you got all the light, but the high noon sun means I'm getting drop shadows, raccoon eyes, that mafia look, which you might want, you know. There's no wrong answer creatively, but there definitely is, did this work or not kind of an answer to that. So when people use flash, what they're doing is they are filling in that shadow pattern that the sun gave them. So a lot of times, do I have anything on my Instagram I can show you really quick? A lot of times, what people will do is shoot with the sun on behind the subject to give them that nice golden rim light type of feel, and then fill in with a strobe. Let me see if I have something that on my Instagram that I can show you that is what I'm talking about instead of me just going blah, blah, blah. So in reality, your strobe is cleaning up the light that, here, this should do it. So let me see. So there you go. That's a strobe. That's a strobe being used, right? You can see it in her catch light right here, right? Or actually, you know what? That might actually be a bounce board now that I'm thinking about it. I don't think I put a strobe on that one. That might be bounce board. Sorry. Let me see if I can find something with, I don't even remember. These are all videos I did like a million years ago. But pretty much you're cleaning up what the daylight is giving you. Actually, this is a photo of me Daniel took. See how the light is behind me? And yet I'm not a silhouette. Dan is cleaning up that. What just happened to this chat room right here? Dan is cleaning up those shadows or that silhouette on me by filling it in with a little bit of strobe, but not overdoing it so it still looks, but it still looks natural, right? Like it just looks like we're out there in the sun and hanging out. But if he shot that without modifying the light somehow, then I would have been a silhouette. But what you do get is these rim lights on me that shape my skull, my head, my face, whatever. You get it. I'm trying to see if I have, how do I not have anything posted that is daylight filled in? Sorry, guys. No, that was at night. Maybe I should post some stuff. All right. Sorry about that. But basically, when you introduce a strobe during sunny situations, what you're doing is, or if you want to, what you're doing is making exposure for the daylight, bringing in a strobe to fill in the shadows. Or if you're not looking at the photo, what they could be doing is making an exposure in their camera to bring down the sunlight so that the shot looks underexposed, and then bringing in a strobe with like, you know, a softbox, an umbrella, whatever, and shaping their subject, right? So you get a darker looking environment and a more dramatic light on your subject. So you're basically manipulating the scene by the exposure, right? Which you've done, which you've seen us do here, right? Every time we shoot in here, when we do this, right, guys? When we go to the demo, right? And we shoot a black frame, that's shot in here with the ambient light. Or I can make an exposure for the ambient light, right? And then you manipulate with the strobe. I'm sorry, you manipulate the environment with your exposure, and you bring in your strobe to shape the subject how you want. All right, so that's basically what you're doing. You have the option. Strobe, I guess what I would say is, strobe, in the end of it all, is what gives you the most control, because you're bringing in such a high-powered light source that you can actually make an exposure for the ambient light and include the environment, or you can make an exposure to eliminate the environment, make it dark, and then bring your strobe in and make that shot just the strobe, you know? Oh, what's up, Mim? How are you? Cool. Okay, I'm glad you got that. So yeah, good question. I could simulate something. In fact, you know what? Why don't I simulate that, and we'll use this Sigma lens, because I want to shoot into the store. Because we're gonna be shooting a 200mm f2, which means I'm gonna have to go all the way back there. Quinn's gonna go over here, and these lights that are lighting me, we'll use those as like a sun behind her. Okay, so why don't we do that? Let's put this lens on my camera. We'll introduce a strobe. We'll do everything I just said. Vicky, are you with me? Vicky, I'm doing this for you. Tell me you're with me, all right? Waiting to hear details about the Sony Adorama event. That event is happening on the 20. The Sony event is going to be down the block, and that is going to be, nope, not there. I know these dates. It's like the 26th or 27th. One of them is a student day. 26th. The 26th, I think, is a student day. The 27th is the civilian day. So Sunday, Monday. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. 26th, 27th, okay? All right, let's mount the lens. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, guys, all right? This channel got some crazy momentum, and I can't thank you guys enough for being part of it. Just remember, when you guys see a video posted that's not live, or even if you're watching a video that's live on playback, and there's a part that you're like, oh, they're talking too much, whatever. One, listen to what they're saying, because probably they're trying to relay something to you. But two, instead of writing comments of, oh, they're just talking the whole time, it took them 20 minutes to start shooting. Look what just happened to me. I'm 23 minutes into the stream and I'm starting to shoot. So instead of leaving that comment, maybe just fast forward. You know, that's kind of the beauty of being on YouTube. You can scrub around and get to the part you want. So just remember that those comments are read by the people that are here trying to do a class for you for free. So just be a little more appreciative is what I would say, because I'm seeing a lot of comments of like, why is this taking so long? Well, this is real life. This is live. This channel is primarily live. The Sony rooftop is going to be down the block from Adorama at a loft venue. It's really beautiful. It's going to be 2 floors. So no, it's not at the pavilion, and it's not at Sony rooftop. Okay. Yeah, the Leica mouse pad's a nice touch, right? Gives me a little bit of class, you know? Gives me a little bit of class. All right. Oh, can I put my hands on your waist? Okay. Always ask. Always get consent. All right. All right. So let's take. Oh, I have to mount the lens. What am I doing? Where were you guys on that? All right. So this is the Sigma 200mm f2 for E mount, and I have a Megadap Pro 2 Plus adapter on here. This is a lot. That's a lot of glass. A lot of glass, right? This has 2 styles of stabilization on it. Usually that's for either staying stagnant or if you're panning. There is a focus limiter switch on it. It has a click and declick, which means I can, where's the declick? So this is, the aperture is clickable. Click off if you want to shoot some video and keep it smooth, right? Keep in mind, the video for this is going to be on my channel when I can finish the video, but I figured I have it. We go live. Why not? Why not, right? And the other thing that is so helpful on this lens is it has a lock for the aperture ring. So if you're like me, a gorilla, and you grab gear really quick and just start going, I have a massive tendency to knock around my aperture rings on certain lenses if they don't lock. And I'll pick it up and I'm like, why is it so dark? And I'm like, oh, I totally closed the lens down to hell, you know? All right, so I have a Nikon Z8 here. We're going to adapt this lens to this Nikon. And I want to preface by saying Sigma is saying, cool, adapt our lenses, but they are not guaranteeing any level of performance. They are just saying, go ahead, we give you our blessing to adapt it to whatever cameras you're able to adapt it to. But if there's an adapter and it's not going to the mount that they have put on the lens, they're not guaranteeing performance. And I think that's totally fair, because at this point, it's up to the firmware of the adapter, right? So let me just change this lens really quick. Okay, and bada bing, and bada boom. Whoa, okay, big weight difference there. I'm gonna keep the lens hood off because I don't care, you know. Have these, you know, it's not, I don't even know if it's haters. I just think that there's a weird entitlement when you've been giving away education for 15 years. And look, you could click on infinite videos on YouTube for free to learn something, right? But if someone's coming up live, what it takes for someone to be at a level to feel confident, comfortable, and legitimate to go live on the spot and do what they do in front of you, you got to give that some level of respect, okay? So if you think someone's talking too much, which I tend to do all the time, just fast forward a little bit. If you're watching on playback, I've just been seeing an increase in these comments, and I don't think it's fair. And I think that you guys don't realize what that does for people that are trying to share something with you when this is the comment they get, that you didn't have enough in you to just scrub a little forward past the talking part to get to the shooting part if you cared about that. But I would strongly recommend you listen to what they're saying, because it's not just about them pointing a lens and taking a shot, right? So let's put this on this camera and let's get oh, wow, I did not set up a tether. Okay, let's set up a tether. Okay. So it's, and listen, I appreciate you guys. Listen, we can't do this without you. So if you are not in these chats, if you're not in those comments, if you're not increasing those view counts, we can't keep doing this for you. So huge thank you to you guys for growing this channel. I can't believe the momentum it's caught lately. I'm very excited to see how far this channel can go. I want that silver play button. I want that 100K for sure. Hopefully we're not that far off, because as of the stream, as of me standing here right now, we are at almost 24,000. So if we can get to 25, then I'm going to say we can get to 50. If we get to 50, then we can get to 100. If we get to 100K, we get that silver play button, baby. And don't forget, when the numbers grow on channels like this, we can get more resources to get you more classes, more things, more stuff, you know? So it's always helpful for everybody. If you want it, if you want to keep it going, you got to support it. And supporting it is just as easy as hitting like, sharing a video, or just watching it when it comes up, you know? If you just, that's all we're asking you to do, is just come hang out and watch when it comes up. You know what I want to get is a stool. Yeah, okay. Because I'm going to have to put this camera down a few times. Okay. So first of all, let's see where we're at exposure wise. Let me see where I'm at framing wise, first of all, because I got a feeling my girl, let me shut this one light off because I think it's going to mess me up pretty bad. Don't forget, I'm in a very mixed lighting here. We've got blue LED tubes flying everywhere. I got warm lights behind me. I got daylight in front of me. We're all over the place on this. Okay, let me see where I'm at with a frame. Just so, oh, this isn't, oh, perfect. Okay, so I am 1, 2, 3, 4. I am about 7 feet away, maybe 6 feet, 6, 7 feet away from Quinn, where I'm gonna be standing, and you're gonna see the frame that I'm at. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on the live view so you guys can actually just see what's going on with this, what she looks like through this lens before we even start making an exposure. I'm gonna put on auto ISO so that, okay, cool. So here is, oh, no, where is my, self-producing while talking is brutal, guys. It's brutal. It's brutal, brutal, brutal. Okay, boom. Okay, so you're looking through my lens right now. And this is ISO 100, 200th of a second at f2, but you are looking at a pretty clean looking frame. Let's take a look. This is ambient light. Man, that store is just obliterated, right guys? But I got a blue overhead light that's lighting her like that, you know? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on auto ISO just so you can see like exactly what it looks like without that silhouette. So this is auto ISO giving me a reading of about 1250 ISO. So take a look. I mean, she just melts away. Just melts away. Look at that. Unreal. Okay, so now let's make a decision here, right? So we have an exposure here that is underexposed for the situation. Obviously, I like that. And we also have making an exposure for the silhouette, which because we're exposing for her face, which is where it is dark, right? Anything that's got a higher exposure than her face is gonna blow out, like the top of her head, right? There's still detail there, actually. Not bad. Man, look at this. Unreal. The 200 millimeter f2 is beautiful. The blower before taking off the lens is what Dan's asking. Basically, I'm just getting ahead of any dust or particles that might be on the lens or on the camera body before I take a lens off. So if I can, the best way to not have dust on your sensor is to prevent getting dust on your sensor, right? So that's kind of where I go for it. All right. Okay, so let's make an exposure for this ambient light. We're here right now. I am at ISO 100, 200 of a second, f2. If I slow down my shutter just a little bit to bring up a little bit of this ambient, and this is scary with a long lens like this, but I got 2 stabilizations on. Let's take a look. All right, that looks a lot better to me. Now let's shape her out with a strobe. And I'm even okay with the shadows having a blue tone to them. And why is that? Because we're gonna fill in those shadows anyway. And it is part of this environment. So to light her, I got this 1x3 strip right here, right? Why not use it? It's sitting here. Don't you guys just have a Pro Photo 1x3 just sitting around, just like standing right there? It's like so convenient. It just comes out of nowhere, you know? Let's turn this on. What group is this in? Whoa, nope, we're not doing that. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in group A and we'll just get a TTL exposure. But the first thing we gotta do is, how do we wanna, hey, what's going on? How do we wanna shape this light? Do we want to basically make our own light out of this? Do we not want to go overhead? Because going overhead is going to go with the direction of the light we're in already. I mean, if you look at her, she's lit on top of her head and coming over the back of her neck. Okay, cool. If I were to put a light to the side, that would make us create a situation where there is some other light source that is coming from the side that is at her height level. If I put it overhead, now we're gonna make it a little more natural looking, going with the pattern that's already being created with our ambient light. So your decisions are, go a little more natural or go a little more stylized. Personally, I want to go a little more natural, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. How am I going to cheat? I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to kind of do both. So instead of just going overhead and, you know, this, I'm going to give it a little diagonal, and we're going to hit it this way. And that way we're kind of keeping it a little ambiguous. We're not really sure what's going on with the light. And the best part about this is if we don't like it, we change it. I'm going to keep a grid on this because I can always take it off, but I really want to minimize all the spill in here because we just made an exposure for the ambient. If I start spilling strobe everywhere, we're killing what we just made an exposure for the ambient. So see the decisions that we're making? We're not trying to get a black frame this time. We're trying to go with the environment light. And I'm going with the environment light because I know I'm going into the shooting at f2, wide open. Light's gonna be flying into this camera no matter what I do anyway. So if I'm gonna go shallow, I might as well not fight the environment. If I don't fight the environment, I might as well make my strobe look a little more naturally part of the environment. Does that make sense to everybody? Talk to me. Come on, guys, talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, baby. No? Nothing? I know I'm on a delay, so I'm going to let that go. You know what would help? A remote. Ow! That ankle, this ankle is not okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a sandbag on this because clearly I'm a klutz today. I'm also not feeling too great, but you know, this is what we do, right, guys? This is what we do. This is what we train for. You guys with me? Come on, talk to me in that chat. Okay. Man, I just had this remote. Oh, let me put this in the shoe and let me turn on the remote and let me go into TTL. Let's just see what TTL does. And keep in mind, this is an adapted lens. This is a lens talking to my camera through an adapter. So this could affect the TTL. Whenever we're using multiple parts here and there's intermediaries like third-party adapters and stuff like that, anything can go wrong. You have to decide what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, okay? So far, this has been acting pretty great. This adapter with this camera has been acting pretty native, in my opinion. So let's see what happens when we throw a strobe in there. All right, so this is the exposure we got right now. Let me take a look at her. We back up a little bit. Bada bing. And boop. Let's take a look. Wow, we just completely murdered the feel of what's going on here, right? However, this is not wrong. Why isn't it wrong? I'm so glad you guys asked. Look, she's white and it is on exposure. And look at how clean that f2 and that autofocus nailed that eye that I focused on. Look at that. It literally falls out of focus right behind that cornea, right? Unbelievable. Now, let me take a look at something really quick. I have it on auto white balance. I'm gonna switch to sunlight. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because I think it looks yellow because my camera is reading blue. The blue light on the left is making my white balance go more yellow to mitigate the blue it's seeing, because remember, the strobe is theoretical. The strobe doesn't exist yet. So how can a white balance, right? So let's take a look at this one again with daylight white balance and see what it gives me as a color. Big difference, right? But you have to have seen it to make that correction. You can always do this in post because you're shooting raw, you know, but if I don't have to do it in post, I'm not going to, right? Does that, everyone see what happened there? So now we got to make some decisions here. Do we want to go back to a world where we have more blue in there and more drama? Or do we want to just make it clean looking like that? Let me know in the chat. Do you want to go clean, or do you want me to try to mix in what's going on the left side? Because we can go either way. There's no wrong answer here. Gregory's asking, how do you deal with dead pixels or hotspots on your camera screen or sensor? Well, depending on your camera, you could have in your menu pixel mapping as a function that will try to reset your sensor. If that doesn't work, call the manufacturer, get in touch with the manufacturer. Hopefully it's within warranty date, but dead pixels can sometimes just be dead pixels, man, I go live every Monday I'm available. I'm live at 11 a.m. Eastern on this channel. We also go live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from this event space for you guys, both here and Adorama TV, which is the main channel. So this is a newer channel. It's only like a couple years old. We're trying to gain some momentum on here. Daniel Norton, my colleague, is live here on Thursdays, every other Thursday, just about, sort of. We also have Gavin Hoey, who goes live from London once a month. That's on Adorama TV, the main channel. Everything else pretty much is here on Adorama events. So hit subscribe. And if you want to jump in on the live chat, do not forget to hit the bell. If you hit the bell, you'll get notified, and make sure it's all notifications. You'll get notified when we're live or about to go live, and you can jump in this chat. Otherwise, you can always watch everything back on playback, and you can go through the comments and try to get your questions answered that way. It's just way slower, All right. All right. So it seems like everybody wants to mix this together. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, clearly we got too much strobe going on. So why don't we take this strobe and we knock out something drastic like 2 stops. Let's see what happens when we knock out 2 stops of light and we try to mix in the light that we already have exposed for, which is that blue, right? Let's take a look. So we went from this to crispy clean to this. Now we have a little bit of neutral, right? In reality, this is the wrong modifier. This light is too long of a shape and too soft of a feel to mix with what we're doing here if we want to make it look organic. I'm going to change this modifier. I'm going to change this to a harder modifier, because if we're looking at this right here and we're trying to kind of mitigate this a little bit, we want the same type of light, quality of light, that feel of light. So I'm going to take this strip light and let's just try it. Let's take this off. Come on. Oh, man, this ankle, it hits a point where it just starts feeling rubbery, and like there's this like vibration of pain that just keeps going. I'm going to put this guy on. This is a hard light Pro Photo Magnum, and I'm going to put the grid on it. This is not a strip light. There's no diffusion here, guys. It's now definitely a harder hitting light. That said, we got to put on the modeling light and just kind of see where she's going, right? Let me put this camera on, and hopefully you guys can see it. Oh. Okay. So let me see if I can shut this off and on. You could see it. So can you guys see what's going on here, right? So I don't want to point it at her. I want to make this more of a natural light, right? So the light that we're in wouldn't be perfect, but we want to make it look imperfect, but still beautiful, right? So I'm going to tilt it down a little more, and I'm going to lift it up a little more. And what that's going to do, let me switch to the overhead, and you'll see what I'm talking about better. See what I'm better talking. So here we're coming this way, and we're letting the edge of the light just graze across her. Does that make sense? I feel like I don't have a camera angle that's going to show this right, but let's see what happens, okay? Now, what did I just change? The modifier. This modifier does not have diffusion, so it's not going to knock out as much light as diffusion would. Like diffusion eats up a stop and a half sometimes, maybe 2 stops, right? I think because I raised the light, I think because we're getting the edge of the light, and I think because I have this white grid on here, it's not going to be that overexposed. So before I change anything else, let's take a shot with this look on it, okay? Boom, and I have a camera somewhere, but bing. Let's take a look at you. How you doing, girl? Oh, yeah? With a lens like this, you need like a radio to talk to him. Let's take a look. Ah, it is overexposed. Well, it's not overexposed. It's on exposure. I mean, she's painted white and we are seeing texture in the white, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock out some light out of this. So I'm going to knock down the power of this light. I actually only have like a half a stop of power left. So I'm going to dial it down to like 0.2, 2/10 of light out of this thing, which is so low power, but let's see what happens. Ah, see, so instead of this, where are we? So we are looking at, this is the ambient on the left. This is a softbox on the right. This is the Magnum on the far right. So to me, on the far right matches the style of the light that we're in. We can knock this down even just a touch more. I mean, I'm gonna take out 1/10 of light, which isn't gonna do much, but I think I'm actually gonna move the light, to be honest. Let's take a look. Yeah, see, to me, that looks more natural to the environment that we were in, right? Because here, it's too soft. We're mixing too soft of a light. Here, the light makes more sense to me as if, oh, she's just in a hard light and she hit the perfect spot and she looks great. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to tilt this light a little more down because I'm a psychopath and I just keep on making things more difficult when I could just say, see guys, that's awesome, but not me. Nope, not me. I'm gonna tilt it down a little bit and I'm going to raise it higher. So this makes the light a little bit harder and it'll also make it more contrasty. Let's see where we're at. Yes, look at that. Look at that. Yes, look at how that doesn't look like we used the strobe in there when you realize that this is the ambient light. So we had, where was it? This was the softbox, and now this is with a dialed in Magnum. You see the difference? Look at the shape of her face. Look at how the shadows have that blue in them, but they're not eradicated. Look at how there's like enough neutral in the key parts of the areas of the face, but we still keep the vibe of the scene. Does that make sense to you guys? Light from shadow side to keep blue on right side. You could do that. Well, it's up to you, right? So now you're playing with where you want to keep the neutral point. So if you said, actually, I think the other side of the face is better, move the light to that side. The key here, though, is not to disrupt the pattern of ambient, right? I was about to go walk over to the screen like you're literally sitting here. But look at the shape of this face changing from a softbox. Look at the lips, right? You wouldn't get lips that look like the middle frame in what would be considered an ambient light situation. You are shaping your subject based on trying to not give away that you lit it, but give your subject the most optimal light while keeping the feel of the environment. This is our environment on the left. Here's us dialing it in. Now, if I take away this softbox one and I put in this one, look at what really happened there. We keep the blue. We shape her face, right? I can't stress enough that depending on makeup, depending on wardrobe, depending on the lips, I mean, if she has chapped lips or she's totally decked out, this makes huge differences, but you're not taking it away. You're leaning into what's really there. So instead of glamorizing, we're cleaning up and documenting. Does that make sense? So you're leaning more towards an honest portrait rather than over glamorizing, eliminating your entire environment because you're like, oh no, it's blue light. Yeah, who cares? She's in blue light. Go with it, right? I think changing to the Magnum was key. I also think, can you guys tell how we moved the light? I feel like that went way too obscure for you guys. You with me? Yeah, it's really smooth. And part of the reason this light looks smooth, even though it's hard, is because this Magnum is white on the inside and the grid's white. So white grids, instead of completely absorbing the light and killing it, it bounces off itself. And when you see where the light starts dying off, it bleeds more. So instead of it being just like, boom, light, it hits and then has like a break to it. And that's where you get the smooth look, even though it's hard light. So white grids were this thing that, I'm not kidding you, I used to assist a guy back in like 2000, I think, 2001. Half my day one day was spraying all of his stuff matte white with spray paint. He had me on this deck all day dying in the sun while he was crushing this photo shoot, and I'm spraying everything white. And he never really explained it to me, honestly. He just kept on having me, I mean, full on beauty dish grids, everything, spraying it white. It was just, sucked. But I always wondered what happened with that, right? And there's some vintage grids that are white. This is new from Profoto. They're getting into this. So this is, what degree is this? 10 degree. This is a 10 degree grid, and you can get the grids for the normal 7-inch ones as well that are white, you know? Check the shadow under her nose is smooth. Let me see. Yeah, so I think I think Daniel puts it the best. Everyone's scared of shadows because when you start shooting, you start going like, and you just want glowy, filled in, butterfly light, reflector underneath, always. No, sometimes you have to, otherwise every shot looks the same if you're gonna keep going for that. If you were gonna keep eliminating the environments that you're in, which makes sense in a studio, but if I'm in an area like this, wouldn't I want to show where she's at? Especially if I'm going to show an out of focus portion in the background. Speaking of which, let's do a live view of the focus point so you guys can see what is actually getting blown out. Are you guys, okay, cool. So this is, oh man, this lens is huge, man. Okay, so that's on her eye. That's the store. That's on her eye. That's the store. So it's pretty fast. I mean, you have to realize how far all these lens elements are traveling to go to infinite, basically, to basically minimum focusing distance, right? In fact, if I do, let me see. Let's do that. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. So you see how that doesn't look literally lit, but it's just neutral enough to be optimal for her? You know? Cool. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you coming by. So, and look, if you really wanted to and you wanted to bounce some light into this, you could. You could. So let's see what that even looks like. Why not? I'm going to have to grip this board because I'm so far away from her. I'm going to need to put this board on a stand. So let's do that. And while I do that, let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit, but let me know. Man, I got to tell you, this ankle has kept me from moving, and I'm trying to walk as much as I can every day to kind of get the strength back. But I'm also trying to stop being out of breath while I'm talking, because before I know it, I'm going to be on stage again at these trade shows. And I don't want to be huffing and puffing, because there's nothing worse than trying to think fast and talk and articulate while you're dying on your feet from having no breath left in your ribs there, you know? Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna boost this, bada bing, boost this, bada boom. And let's see now. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys on the far camera really quick what I'm doing here. Okay, thanks, Dre. I appreciate you. Nope, wrong. Oh, no, right thing. All right, let me see. So we have our light raking this way. Whatever is coming off of here, I need it to be able to hit this board, but I also don't want it to be completely perfect, right? We just want to fill in those shadows to some bit without it looking like we filled in those shadows, right? So if we're going for this, the best way to know if your reflector is even going to reflect any light is to put your head on the reflector, and if you can see the actual light, not the grid, not the side of the grid, that side of the light, but the actual light itself, you should be able to get something off the board. All right, let me see. Okay, we're also at the lowest power possible on this light. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even making this up, guys. Can you see this? Oh. Can you see that 0.1? Let me see if I can just. Let me see. Oh my God. Oh, it's focusing on her. That's so funny. Oh, it's focusing on her. That's so funny. Can you see that 0.1? 0.1. That is 1/10 power. 1/10, not 1 not one stop, not, it is the lowest possible dialed down power I could put on this thing. All right. All right, let's take this shot, see what this bounce does. If anything, might not do anything. I might have to inch it in even closer. I gotta step back. Bada bing. Let's take a look. Yeah, wow. Big difference, not good. See that? How many times have you guys thrown in a reflector and gone, look how much better it looks? Here, reflector looks worse to me. To me, the reflector looks like, not as cool. We lose all of it. We lose all of it. Here's what I'm gonna try. I'm gonna ask Quinn to turn her head and look towards her left, right? So we changed the position of our model. It's like changing the position of our light. Let's take a look at her this way with this bounce in place. Let's take a look. Now we're getting our dimension back because we're not bouncing completely off the board, right? It's only hitting the bottom corner of her jaw at that point. So we gain some dimension because we're kind of turning her away from the fill. All right. Question from Melanie. Man, question from Melanie. Do you have some sunglasses? I don't, I'm sorry. So with sunglasses, it's the same kind of idea. Either lean into having a reflection on them because that's kind of why they're sunglasses. Otherwise, just go dark black and it's like, what are you really shooting? I'm in the camp of show the reflection on the glasses. And if you have sunglasses and you're inside, you're obviously some kind of trying to play some kind of fashion-y, rock star-y kind of thing. What I would do is I would just manage the glasses like this, get the position of the head how I want, and manage what I do with the sunglasses like this and I would do that based on how much reflection I would want. If I don't want reflection, I would change this light source completely and I would just kind of go for a larger, if not diffuse light source. Or if I really want to keep this light source, what I can do is completely change my angle to her, which would change the shot completely. So either way, you're changing the shot completely. That's why I say lean into it. Lean into the glare. That's kind of that's like saying I don't want any shine on jewelry, in my opinion, right? You know, if it's kind of like anything else. Instead of fighting the key characteristics of something, roll with them and optimize them. So if sunglasses have so much reflection, show that they have so much reflection in a cool way. Is that fair? If you don't want the reflection, you are absolutely changing the shot completely. All right. Oh boy. I actually have to get going here, but guys, check out the Sigma 200mm f2. I'm going to be putting out a video on my channel about it. If you want to stay up on that, this is all my social stuff. Don't forget, tomorrow, I want to see you in this chat, 5 p.m. Eastern for Justin Bakari. He'll be going through gels with you. It's his first time speaking. I'm telling you, I have personal faith in this kid. Let's make him feel welcome. Let's make him feel psyched that he's here. And let him know that he's supported by Paisans, huh? Don't forget that Daniel is back. When is he back? Daniel is back on the 23rd. The Sony event is the 26th, 27th, I believe, which is hands-on here in New York. You do have to register for that. Got Jennifer Stitt November 5th. Wednesday, I'm live on the main channel, Coffee with Creators. There's 70 episodes of CWC. Go check them out. And don't forget, on this channel, there's an 8-hour compilation now for you. If you want to play something as a screensaver or just something while you're editing, keep you company, pick up some subconscious golden knowledge on the fly, go check out Adorama events all day replay. I put that up as a live stream, but you guys can play it for 8 hours, 8 straight hours of some bangers, all right? And yeah, I guess we made it out of September, guys. I will see you hopefully tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern for Justin Bakari. Make sure you make him feel welcome. Do me a favor, do me a personal favor and make this kid feel welcome. He's gonna kill himself for you guys, I know it. He's the best energy. You have no idea. I'm really psyched on it. All right. If you're new here, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when we go live. And I will see you next time. All right, guys? Be good to each other. Later.